On this edition of Historic Homes, we'll take you on a tour through the most prominent villages of founder George Merrick. The Chinese Village, an authentic replica of Mandarin architecture inside and out. Plus, we'll take you into one of the 6 exclusive houses of the Dutch South African village, built out of the Dutch colonist farmhouses of the 17th century. And the famous French Normandy village that has always drawn curiosity and wonder to drivers on Lejeune Road. Welcome. Historic Homes of Coral Gables begins right now. Merrick's vision was to build 14 villages from different international regions in Coral Gables. His goal was to attract home buyers from the north by offering them unique architecture variety. However, only 6 villages were constructed before Merrick was affected by the Great Depression. Remnants of this dream stand today with less than 80 of the 1,000 planned residences built through the different villages. The Florida pioneer village of Santa Maria Street bordering the Riviera Country Club golf course. The French 18th century village located on the 1000 block of Hardy Road. The French Normandy village on Lejeune and Vizcaya. The Dutch South African village on Lejeune at Maya Avenue. The Italian village located south of Bird Road between Granada and Riviera Drive. And the 8-unit Chinese village that stands out colorfully behind a gated wall on Riviera Drive, just south of US 1. And here is exactly where we start our tour, the Chinese Village. A unique assemblage of 8 privately owned residencies built in 1926 by architect Henry Killam Murphy. The house is located on the block bounded by San Savino Avenue, Castellana Avenue, Marjorie Street, and Riviera Drive, share a common courtyard area with separate dwellings. They possess glazed tile roofs in primary hues and upturned eaves with ornamental animal figures, as well as elaborate gates and balustrades that authentically reflect the Chinese tradition. This is Michael and Sherry's home, true admirers and collectors of Chinese arts and crafts. Not a surprise, they carefully searched for a house that resembled a Chinese home in South Florida.
I've always thought things from China were beautiful, and Chinese red is beautiful. And the Chinese village, it was just so unique with the roofs, and roof lines, and the colors on the roof, and the blue tiles, and the red windows. It was just so different that I thought, man, let me take a look to see if one of those are available.
But the Chinese village hasn't always looked like it looks today. They probably wouldn't even exist anymore without the city's designation as a historic place and devoted owners like Mr. Warner, who invest a lot of effort in their restoration and maintenance.
When I bought this house, for example, you could stand upstairs in the hallway and look up at the ceiling, and instead of seeing ceiling, you could look straight into the sky because there was no ceiling and a lot of the roof tiles were missing, and so when it rained outside, it rained inside also. So the house was in pretty bad condition. And one by one, people bought these houses and rehabilitated them. Well, I like it's Chinese. I like it that it's very unique. It's probably the only place like this in the United States, the only Chinese structures that are fairly authentic Chinese. And I just like being part of the community here.
Each one of the houses at the Chinese Village is completely independent. However, they are very close to one another, and their backyards were originally designed as an interior common area, which, according to Chinese tradition, helped to construct a sense of community among neighbors. Today, the backyard is individually fenced.
All of the people in the village know each other. And everybody here has lived here for a long time. I've lived here since the 80s, so 25, 26 years, and you think, well, you know, he's been here the longest, but that's not true. There's Evelyn and her son Richard have been here since the 50s.
Henry Murphy, the architect for the Chinese village, was a Yale graduate, but he practiced extensively in China, becoming the leading authority in Oriental architecture.
His claim to fame was, although he was an American, his claim to fame is not his architecture in America, but rather his architecture in China. He, for example, was the architect for Peking University. He was also the architect for the original design and layout for Tsinghua University, which is their top university. I was there about a year ago, and I'm looking at the buildings, and I thought, my gosh, this is very similar to the Chinese village. So I said, who designed this university? And he says, well, an American did. I don't know his name, but there's a statue out in the square. So I went out there, and sure enough, there's a statue of Henry Callum Murphy. So by coincidence, I've just been sort of attracted to several places, all designed by the same architect.
And who could better assert that this house is a faithful replica of a Chinese home than Mrs. Werner herself, who is originally from China.
As you know, I'm from China, so I left China, I'm here, but now this is like China, and we call it Chinese house. There are many, elements here. It does, they remind me of China, so it's pretty interesting. I like the colors, and I think I like the most is the redwood grill on the door, the glass pane. Because that totally reminds me of my childhood. Because the house I lived in China when I was little, they had all of those all over all the windows. Not red, but it's very similar. So I like that.
There are some features like the fretwork that Sherry mentioned, and the staircase, and there's a little door under the staircase, a rounded door that has beautiful Chinese decoration. And then also some panels on all of the doors. And here in the living room here, there's 7 sets of French doors, and each one has this Chinese motif on it.
The designation of the Chinese village as a historic district took place in 1985, with the purpose of protecting these houses for the future. We are proud that today the colorful, brilliantly hued tiled roofs, upturned eaves, and elaborated entrance gates continue to provide an extraordinarily unique architecture touch for the city of Coral Gables. Coming up next, we'll take you inside the Dutch South African village of Coral Gables. These incredible houses that resemble farmhouses of the Dutch colonists from the 17th century. Plus, come with us to visit the French Normandy village, a distinctive group of townhouses that recreate a small European town right on Lejeune Road. We'll be right back.